So today we're in Beekman Place, which is a gated community. There are little pieces of it that are outside the gate. They look like townhouses. They're a condo association. We're looking at actually the Roosevelt across the street, which is now a high-end rental building. The Roosevelt sat behind a chain link fence tied up in court for, a decade or so, because it used to be a nursing home. Under DC tenant laws, when you sell a piece of property, you're supposed to give the tenants their first right of refusal. The owner gave his tenant, the nursing home, the first right of refusal, but did not give it to every single subtenant, every single person at the nursing home. Some of them got together later and sued, and until they were bought off, their tenants' rights were paid for in some way. It just stayed an eyesore here at the north end of DuPont Circle. We're on the border of DuPont Circle, Adams Morgan, and Columbia Heights. Mainly DuPont Circle and Columbia and Adams Morgan. The tax assessor says Beekman Place is in Mount Pleasant. Nobody here thinks they live in Mount Pleasant, which is blocks and blocks north. This is one of the bedrooms. These little townhouses come in sets of 4, 2 up and 2 down, even though they're all 2-story. This one's been quite renovated, as I think a lot of them have since the late 90s. I think this might be a better renovation job than many I've seen, just for some of the choices of fixtures alone. They put in blonde floors, maybe blonde maple, which is probably a good idea in terms of wanting light. Here's another bathroom, also with a bowl sink, although this is a metal bowl instead of a glass one, and this one seems to be mainly blue. The other was a kind of tan. I have to say I like what they did with their bathrooms, and I like the fact that they did make them just the same. Maybe that bathroom is blue because they wanted this bedroom to be blue. Somebody likes blue. Anyway, this is what Beekman Place itself looks like. There's actually a gatehouse with a person in it, and there are 2 or 3 sets of streets. You can see across, I think, that it's actually a 4-story building, but the top 2 floors, which get that upper patio, are one little townhouse. And even though they appear to be up high there, on the front they're probably level with the front, since this is all terraced, we're on hills. And then the lower 2 floors, which have a giant patio, you would actually step down. For instance, here at this one, you can see you come down this little pathway, and there are complicated stairs. You go up the stairs to get to the front door of this unit. You go down the stairs to get to the unit underneath it, which is also looks just like a house. A little less like a house than this does, since this is on top of it, but it's also 2 stories, and in general, the upper ones all have a balcony, and the lower ones all have a patio. But in this particular case, this one has neither, which I think is actually sort of unusual. It has a landing out front. So the person beneath us here, I think, has both kind of a front patio, and then they also have a back patio. So you can see, again, this is like 1999 to 2001's idea of the hot new kitchen. It's got the stainless steel. It's got nice enough new cabinetry. One appliance is black and not stainless steel, which was the other option back then. It has granite, it has this little bar. Perfect place for some kind of small table. Also, very renovated. These people have nice artwork. And then we have a living room, dining room combo, and something that everybody at Beekman Place has. There are 2-bedroom units at Beekman Place. There are 3-bedroom units, not as many of those, and then there are also some small 1-bedroom houses. We may go outside, so you may actually end up seeing one of those. But everybody has a fireplace, and part of the deal with the condo association is to keep their insurance good. Maybe because we're on here on the street on Florida Avenue, this doesn't have a balcony. But the person below definitely has a patio. You have to commit to doing your cleaning professionally, having somebody come in and clean the fireplace. I think it's once every 2 years. So basically every other year. I like this stainless steel table. I'm sure there's nothing particularly fancy about it, but I like it. These people have just very slightly interesting stylistic choices made on things like their art, but also their table and what kind of sink they were getting. Well, so they have a grill here, so I guess they actually treat this, being one of the rare units with no balcony and no patio, they pretend like this is their patio. You're going to hear some traffic because we're right over 16th Street over there, near Meridian Hill Park, also known as Malcolm X Park. Everybody here has 2 parking spaces, and everything is very, a lot of steps, a lot of different levels. Anyway, that's the front of what that little unit looks like. You can see there are rows and rows of them. I don't think we can see the gatehouse from here. I think it's too far away, but you can also see that there are basically entire blocks and streets inside Beekman Place. And there's also a block of it outside on Belmont Road. They're part of Beekman Place. These all have an address that's such and such number Beekman Place. Since they're always in groups of 4, it's A, B, C, D. I thought we might see one of the little 1-bedroom ones. Little 1-bedroom houses. I think, oh yeah, there is one right here. So this is a 2-bedroom unit because it has a door and a window and 2 windows above. This is a 3-bedroom model because it has 2 windows and a door and 3 windows above. It's a little bigger. And there's another 2-bedroom unit, or actually, of course, a 4-pack. And then there is, and there are only so many of these, I'm not even sure there are a dozen in the whole place. There's the little 1-bedroom maisonette. It's a little 1-bedroom house on 2 levels. Just has a door and then a window above. It's probably a living room and a dining room below and a bedroom above and 1.5 baths. They're very rare and they're very rarely for sale. I assume that they also get 2 parking spaces. There's a chance they only get 1. None of the parking spaces here are in a garage. Long ago, the neighborhoods around this used to actually be somewhat dangerous. And it's not that they're all that safe right now. I mean, if you left a bike out, somebody would steal it. If you are in a condo with a bike room, every couple of years somebody will steal your bike out of the bike room. Ben's Chili Bowl is down the street, and all the New York people who like to show how very bohemian they are like to discuss Ben's Chili Bowl because it's historic. But in fact, a couple of years ago, someone was shot at noon as they were in a funeral procession going by Ben's Chili Bowl. They may have been targeted because they may have been involved in some kind of criminal case as a witness. But years ago, people actually wanted to live in this because it's a gated community, and then other people would come look at it and feel that they were racist for living in a gated community downtown. I once showed some sort of, I think one of them actually worked at NPR, a piece of property here like 10 or 15 years ago. And they said, oh, if I live in Beekman Place, everyone will be a Republican, which of course is far from the truth since there are no neighborhoods you can live in D.C. where everyone's a Republican. The first piece of property we went and looked at was completely full of African art, or Afrocentric art, and it was, as it gradually became apparent, it was not because somebody, worked for a humanitarian group and went to Haiti or Jamaica all the time. It actually belonged to somebody who was African American, and I just thought it was very amusing because it was one of the 1 or 2 units we came and looked at here, but the other was a foreclosure. And the person who I was showing to had just said this thing about how everyone here would be a Republican and would it be racist to live in a gated community and blah, blah, blah. People's assumptions are funny.